I didn't plan on witnessing something that would change how I look at people forever. I was just out on a regular afternoon, picking up a few things from a local store in the city. It wasn't a fancy place, just a small convenience store, tucked between an old laundromat and a barber shop. As I approached the entrance, I noticed a man standing just outside the door. He was black, probably in his late 60s or early 70s. His clothes were torn and dirty, and he wore an old jacket that looked more like a blanket wrapped around his shoulders. His shoes were falling apart, and he looked like he hadn't had a proper meal in days. His beard was gray, his eyes tired, and his hands trembled slightly as he held them in front of him. He wasn't panhandling. He wasn't saying a word. He was just there, quiet, still, like a man trying to stay invisible in a world that didn't want to see him. When I walked in, I held the door for him. He looked at me and nodded, just a small nod, like he was saying thank you without using words. I gave a small smile back. Inside the store, a young white guy stood behind the counter. He looked like he didn't want to be there, scrolling on his phone, chewing gum, and barely acknowledging the customers. When the homeless man walked in a moment later, the mood changed instantly. The clerk looked up, narrowed his eyes, and scoffed. "Oh, great," he muttered, rolling his eyes. "Here comes another one." The words weren't loud, but they were loud enough for the rest of us to hear. I froze. I could feel the tension thick in the air. The homeless man shuffled in quietly, heading toward the back of the store where the drinks were. He picked up a small bottle of water and held it gently, like it was made of glass. You could tell he was hungry, thirsty, maybe just trying to feel like a normal human being for once. The clerk didn't even give him a second to breathe. Hey, unless you got money, you need to get out." "We're not a shelter," he said sharply. "No loitering." The man spoke softly, his voice low and cracked. "I just need some water. I'll pay." The clerk burst out laughing. "You'll pay? With what, man? Your coat's older than my grandma. Come on, just admit it. You're broke and you're trying to get a freebie." The man stood still. His shoulders sank. He looked down at the floor, not saying another word. The look on his face, I don't even know how to describe it. Hurt. Embarrassment. Maybe he was used to being talked to like that, which made it even worse. A couple of people in the store started whispering, clearly uncomfortable, but no one said anything out loud. I wanted to speak up, but before I could, something happened. A sleek black car pulled up right in front of the store. It wasn't a police car or a taxi. It was clean, expensive, shiny. Clearly someone important was inside. The door opened, and out stepped a tall black man in a sharp gray suit. His shoes were polished, and he walked with purpose. He looked around quickly before stepping into the store. The moment he saw the homeless man, his entire face lit up. "There you are," he said, rushing over. "We've been searching for you everywhere." The whole store went quiet. The clerk looked confused. "Wait, what? You know him?" The man in the suit nodded and placed a gentle hand on the homeless man's shoulder. "This man," he said, turning to everyone in the store, "is Mr. James Carter. He used to run one of the most impactful community programs in the city. He's the reason hundreds of kids, including me, got through school, stayed out of trouble, and found a future." Everyone just stared. The homeless man, Mr. Carter, looked stunned, like he didn't expect to be remembered. The suited man continued. "He lost his wife 2 years ago. After she passed, he disappeared. We didn't know what happened to him. Until now." The clerk was speechless. His mouth opened, then closed. He stepped back slowly, his face pale. I didn't know," he stammered. "I thought he was just what?" the man in the suit asked firmly. "Just homeless? Just a nobody?" The clerk's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean to." Mr. Carter finally spoke. His voice was soft but full of meaning. "You never know what someone's been through," he said. And you never know who someone really is. That sentence hit everyone like a brick. You could hear a pin drop. The man in the suit gently placed a hand on Mr. Carter's back as they made their way to the door. You could see the care in the way he moved, like he was walking beside someone he deeply respected. Mr. Carter looked down as he walked, still holding the small bottle of water in his hand like it was something precious. His steps were slow, but steady, like something inside him had shifted. When they reached the car, the suited man opened the door for him, and Mr. Carter paused for a moment before getting in. He turned his head slightly, just enough to glance back at the store. For a brief second, our eyes met. And I swear, in that moment, I saw something in his eyes. A quiet sadness, but also peace. Like after being forgotten for so long, someone finally remembered him. Someone finally saw him. As the car pulled away, the silence inside the store felt heavy. No one moved, no one spoke. The clerk just stood there behind the counter, eyes still wet, staring at the door as if it had become a window into a part of the world he'd never cared to look at before. His cocky smirk was gone. His shoulders slumped. His hands trembled slightly. It was like he wasn't just seeing Mr. Carter in a new light. He was seeing himself, and he didn't like what he saw. I stood there for a moment longer, then slowly made my way out the door. The sunlight outside hit my face, but I barely noticed it. My heart felt heavy. Not in a painful way, but in a way that comes when you're reminded of something deep, something human. I walked down the street with my thoughts spinning, not because I had just witnessed something dramatic, like a fight, or a crash. No, what I saw was something quieter, something more powerful. I saw a truth, simple but heavy. That day reminded me how easy it is to make assumptions, to look at someone and think you know who they are, just based on how they look, how they dress, where they stand. But behind every worn-out face, every torn jacket, every broken shoe, there's a story, a journey, a heart that's loved, lost, and kept going. Mr. Carter had once been a leader, a mentor, a man who lifted others, and life, as it often does, knocked him down. But none of that erased who he was. His worth didn't disappear with his wealth. His dignity didn't vanish with his home. It just took one moment, one truth, one person who cared enough to look past the surface. And suddenly, the whole room changed. Sometimes that's all it takes. Not a grand speech, not a dramatic rescue, just a moment of truth. A reminder that we're all more than what we seem, and sometimes one moment like that is enough to open a heart that's been closed for far too long.